Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever found yourself, wondering what truly defines a good life? What sets apart those who seem to navigate life with inner calm from those constantly caught in, well, turmoil? Today, we're taking a deep dive into an ancient text that surprisingly offers a very modern blueprint for well-being, the Kandarakasuttaṃ.
That's right. Our source material is, it's this profound dialogue, really a snapshot from the time of the Buddha, offering a unique lens into human behavior. It examines everything from extreme forms of self-denial and causing harm to others, all the way to a path of profound liberation and deep inner peace.
Right, so our mission in this deep dive is to extract those core nuggets of wisdom, explore the surprising facts that emerge, and help you connect what this ancient conversation means for your life right here, right now. Think of it as maybe your shortcut to being truly well-informed about a timeless discussion on human happiness. So let's set the scene for this conversation. We find the Blessed One, known as Bhagavan, by the Gagra Lake in Kampa, surrounded by a large assembly of monks. It's a pretty serene backdrop for what turns into a truly insightful discussion.
It is, yeah. And into this peaceful setting step two significant figures: Pessa, the elephant trainer's son, and Kandāraka, who is a wanderer. Kandāraka observes the silent, disciplined assembly of monks and expresses his deep amazement to Bhagavan. He marvels at how perfectly Bhagavan has guided his monastic community, going so far as to assert that all fully awakened ones, the Arahanto Sammasambuddha from past, present, and future, would guide their assemblies just as well.
And Bhagavan just affirms this.
Simply affirms it, yes. Confirms Kandāraka's insight. Then he offers Kandāraka and us, really, a glimpse into the depth of his assembly. He explains that some of the monks are arahants, those who've completely dissolved their mental defilements, finished their spiritual journey, laid down the heavy burden of suffering, and achieved ultimate liberation through perfect wisdom.
Okay, the fully liberated ones.
Exactly. But he also notes that others are trainees, or sakha, as the text says. These are individuals still actively on the path of spiritual development who maintain continuous moral conduct, practice diligently, are wise, and have established their minds firmly in what are called the four foundations of mindfulness.
Okay, these four foundations. What exactly are they? They sound central.
They are. Bhagavan describes them as the contemplation of the body, feelings, mind, and mental objects. But these aren't just casual observations. They are practiced with intense effort, clear comprehension of what's happening, and constant mindfulness. The goal is to actively remove covetousness and distress, leading to a profound inner purification.
Right. And this brings us to Pessa's reaction, which is quite telling.
Yeah.
He praises these four foundations as wonderful and amazing, highlighting that they are precisely taught for the purification of beings, for overcoming sorrow and lamentation, alleviating pain and distress, and ultimately for realizing Nibbana.
And just to clarify for a moment, Nibbana, in this context, it refers to a state of profound peace, freedom from suffering, and complete liberation from the cycle of existence. It's the ultimate goal of the path.
Got it. Now, this is where Pessa reveals something truly unexpected, right?
Exactly. He shares that even he, a lay person, a white-clad lay follower, as the text describes him, practices these four foundations of mindfulness from time to time. He contemplates his body, feelings, mind, and mental objects with the same ardor, clear comprehension, and mindfulness.
Wait, so a layperson is doing this deep contemplation? That is surprising. I think many would assume these are just for monks.
It definitely challenges assumptions, yeah. Pessa then takes his observation a step further, drawing this fascinating comparison. He expresses wonder that Bhagavan understands the welfare and harm of beings, despite what Pessa calls the inherent crookedness and deceit in humans.
And he uses his own job as an elephant trainer to make the point.
Right. Pessa explains that as an elephant trainer, he can predict all the cunning tricks, the deception, the deviousness an elephant will perform. But, he laments, his own human servants, his laborers, they act one way with their body, another with their speech, and yet have a completely different intention in their mind.
Wow. That really underscores the complexity, the unpredictability maybe of human nature compared to animals.
It's a profound observation, and Bhagavan confirms it, agreeing that humans are indeed often crooked, while animals and their actions are generally straightforward. This leads Bhagavan to introduce the heart of this deep dive, stating, there are four types of persons existing in the world.
Four types. And he asked Pessa which one appeals to him.
Yes, which one pleases his mind. And what's striking is Pessa's immediate reaction. He instantly rejects the first three and chooses the fourth, which, sets the stage for a detailed exploration of each.
Okay, let's dive into those. The first type, the self-tormentor. What exactly does that entail?
Well, this is someone engaged in really extreme forms of self-inflicted suffering, basically tormenting their own body. The text describes an incredibly ascetic lifestyle, like they might live without clothes, adopt what's called loose conduct, or even lick their hands for sustenance.
Lick at their hands.
Yeah, and adhere to extraordinarily strict begging rules, refusing food offered nicely or even food specifically prepared for them. Their diet is incredibly sparse, often just wild plants or even things like, well, cow dung, consumed only once a day or maybe even just once every half month.
That's intense. A total rejection of comfort.
Absolutely. And their clothing choices were just as severe. Rough materials like coarse hemp, animal hides, or even garments made from grass or bark. And it wasn't just about food or clothes. They'd engage in extreme physical stuff like plucking out their hair and beard, standing constantly, refusing to sit, or even sleeping on thorns. The key takeaway here isn't just a list of, bizarre practices. It's that this path, though pursued by those wanting happiness, paradoxically involves inflicting profound suffering on oneself.
Okay, so that's type 1. What about the second type, the one who torments others?
So this person's actions are defined by occupations that inherently inflict suffering on other living beings. The Sutta gives clear examples: a butcher of sheep or pigs, a fowler, a hunter, a fisherman, a thief, an executioner.
Right. Jobs involving direct harm.
Exactly. And the Buddha then broadens this to include any others who engage in cruel occupations. Pessa's reasoning for rejecting this type is pretty straightforward. These individuals cause suffering to others who, just like themselves, want happiness and dislike pain.
Makes sense. Now, this third type sounds like a double whammy, inflicting suffering on both themselves and others. The example is vivid, you said.
Oh, it is. This type describes someone who torments both themselves and others, often through these grand, elaborate rituals. The most striking example given is a king or a crowned warrior, or maybe a wealthy Brahmin performing a great sacrifice.
Okay.
The setup itself involves self-torment. Building a special hall, shaving their hair, smearing their body with ghee, sleeping uncomfortably on ground plastered with green grass.
So they're roughing it themselves.
They are, but then the scale of the suffering inflicted on others is just immense.
The animals.
Precisely. The ritual involved the brutal slaughter of vast numbers of animals, bulls, calves, heifers, goats, rams, horses, purely for the sacrifice. And beyond the animals, their own servants, slaves, and laborers were beaten, threatened, and forced to perform these rites while weeping and lamenting.
Good grief. That's definitely both.
It really embodies practices that torment the self through strict, uncomfortable rituals and severely torment others through animal sacrifices and forced labor. No wonder Pessa rejected it.
Absolutely. Which brings us finally to the fourth type. The one Pessa liked. The one who is quenched, cooled, experiences happiness here and now. What's this path?
So this fourth type describes the path taught by the Tathagata, the Buddha himself. It begins with the appearance of a Buddha in the world, an arahant, a perfectly self-awakened one, a supreme teacher. This Buddha declares the Dharma, a teaching that's described as beautiful in its beginning, middle, and end, complete and pure.
Okay, the teaching appears, then what happens?
Well, the journey often begins with a householder who hears this Dharma and gains profound faith. They reflect on how confining and limited household life is compared to the expansive freedom of spiritual renunciation. They realize it's difficult, maybe impossible, to practice a perfectly pure, holy life while managing a home. So they make a conscious decision, shave their hair and beard, put on the saffron robes, and go forth from home to homelessness, letting go of possessions and relatives.
A complete shift then, moving away from all those worldly attachments. What kind of moral conduct do they cultivate?
It's a profound moral code, Sila. Cultivating a life of non-harm and purity. This involves abandoning actions like killing living beings, fostering deep compassion for all. They abstain from taking what's not given, for sexual misconduct, and from all forms of harmful speech, false speech, slander, harsh words, idle chatter.
So cleaning up their actions and words.
Exactly. And instead, they actively cultivate truthfulness, trustworthiness, and words that bring people together, that are pleasant, ear-pleasing, affectionate, wise. This commitment to purity extends into their daily life, too. They abstain from damaging seeds and plants. They eat only one meal a day, never at night or inappropriate times. They avoid frivolous entertainments like dancing or music, and they don't indulge in adornments or high, luxurious beds.
It sounds like a systematic dismantling of attachments.
It really is, not just to material wealth, but to sensory pleasures, even social roles. It creates this profound inner freedom.
Leading to a radical simplicity, it seems.
Precisely. This individual abstains from accepting gold and silver, raw grain, raw meat, or any form of material accumulation like servants, animals, or land. And importantly, they abstain from any unethical dealings. They don't act as messengers for others' affairs, engage in buying and selling, or cheat with scales or measures. They avoid bribery, deception, crookedness, fraud, and any acts of violence like cutting, killing, or plundering.
So just total integrity.
Yeah. The person on this path finds contentment with just their robes for protection and alms food for sustenance. They carry only their basic requisites. The text says, like a bird flies with only its wings. This radical simplicity leads to a profound, inner, blameless joy.
That's a beautiful image. Okay, so that covers conduct and contentment. What about sense restraint? How does that fit in?
Indriya Savara. It's crucial. They practice profound sense restraint when they see forms, hear sounds, smell odors, taste flavors, touch tangibles, or, process mental objects. They don't grasp at their superficial features or get caught up in details that would lead to craving or aversion.
But they're not letting the senses run wild.
Exactly. Instead, they guard their sense faculties vigilantly to prevent unwholesome states like covetousness and distress from arising. This deliberate discipline results in a deep inner freedom from vexation, from being constantly pulled around by likes and dislikes.
And then the cultivation of mindfulness and clear comprehension, sati sampajanya, which Pesa himself highlighted earlier.
Exactly. They act with clear comprehension in all activities, whether they're walking, standing, sitting, sleeping, waking, speaking, or being silent. Always aware. This deep, continuous mindfulness helps them overcome what are known as the 5 hindrances. These are 5 mental defilements that weaken wisdom and obstruct concentration.
What are those hindrances again?
They include covetousness or sensual desire, ill will, sloth and torpor like laziness and dullness, restlessness and remorse, and skeptical doubt. They actively purify their mind from these, often by seeking secluded dwellings like forests or caves to meditate.
Okay, so they clear the mind, and through this purification, they attain these deep meditative states, the jhanas.
Yes. Through this rigorous practice, they enter and abide in 4 stages of deep meditative absorption, the jhanas. These are states of profoundly concentrated and purified consciousness, characterized by immense rapture, happiness, equanimity, and pure mindfulness.
Wow, and with that kind of mind.
Exactly. With a mind thus concentrated and purified, they direct it towards 3 profound insights or knowledges, the vijja.
Okay, what's the first one?
The first allows them to peel back the layers of time, recalling countless past lives with vivid clarity. They can remember details of names, clans, appearances, experiences of pleasure and pain, lifespans, and how they were reborn. It's a truly mind-expanding awareness.
Incredible, like seeing your own history unfold. What's the second knowledge?
The second is called the divine eye, or the knowledge of the passing away and rebirth of beings. With this purified vision, far beyond ordinary human sight, they see beings passing away and reappearing. And they understand how beings fare according to their actions, how unskillful conduct leads to suffering, and good conduct leads to happiness.
A kind of cosmic perspective on karma.
You could say that, yes. A panoramic view of countless lives unfolding, seeing how actions in one life directly shape the next.
And finally, the ultimate goal, the destruction of defilements.
This is the third and culminating knowledge. They truly understand suffering, its origin, its cessation, and the path that leads to its cessation. The 4 noble truths, essentially. They understand the defilements themselves, sensual desire, the desire for existence, and ignorance, their origin, cessation, and the path to their cessation. This profound insight culminates in the ultimate freedom. The realization that destroyed is birth, lived is the holy life, done is what was to be done, there is no more for the state of being.
Wow.
The cycle of rebirth is broken, the spiritual journey complete. This is the essence of the path of one who torments neither self nor others. A path that leads to being quenched, cooled, and experiencing happiness here and now.
So what does this all mean for us listening now? Why did Pesa, the elephant trainer, immediately resonate with this 4th type? Why pick that one?
Well, because it's the only path that actively moves away from inflicting suffering, right? Whether on oneself or on others. Instead, it cultivates profound internal peace and understanding. Pessa, even as a layperson, recognized the deep wisdom in the Buddha's explanation of mindfulness, and he saw the ultimate benefit in a life free from torment. He understood, maybe intuitively, that true well-being doesn't come from external rituals or harming others, but from inner liberation.
Yeah, it really shows how deeply these ancient insights probe into the very fabric of human experience and the consequences of our actions, even using that surprising analogy of humans versus elephants to drive the point home. It's quite powerful.
Absolutely. This deep dive into the Kandarakasuttaṃ provides a stark but really illuminating spectrum of human existence, from paths of intense suffering, both self-inflicted and inflicted upon others, all the way to a path of profound liberation. It highlights the immense potential within each of us to choose a way of being that leads towards inner peace rather than more suffering.
And this raises an important question for you listening in. While the extremes of, severe asceticism and massive ritual sacrifice might seem distant from our daily lives, the core principles of self-harm, harm to others, and the ultimate freedom from both, they remain incredibly relevant, don't they? So what stands out to you from these four paths? How might understanding these distinct approaches challenge or maybe affirm your own journey towards well-being and how you interact with the world around you? Something to think about.